What's up YouTube? さあ今日も始まりましたゆららのコンテンツ The topic of today is what it's like working in Japan. Many people like their experiences in Japan, and of course some more people will think about build their life and work in Japan. For example, how many paid holidays do we get? Is there any work style differences compared to other countries? On this video, I had a chance to interview a person who has been working in Japan for more than 10 years. And actually, I got a lot of real experiences and stories from her. So let's find out what it's like working in Japan. On my channel, it is the best place for people from overseas to know about Japan without coming to Japan. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, subscribe to my channel and open the door for your next journey. Alright, long story short, let's get started. Thank you for your time today. Firstly, where are you from?
I'm originally from Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
How long have you been in Japan?
It's been 16 years.
16? That's
Yeah.
kind of long. What do you do in Japan?
I actually run my own startup. It is an app called Oira. And in that app, you can call interpreters on demand whenever you want. So let's say you want to call the real estate agency or the hospital. You can putting an interpreter in the call. Everything on the app. So it's a remote interpreting application.
That's really nice service. I heard a lot of foreigners that they are suffering speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
Like doing the procedure in bank. You know, Japanese people, we don't really speak English, so...
That's the reason I founded the company
wow.
6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
move on to the main topic. So today the topic is about what it's like working in Japan. So my question is there any difficulties between working in Japan and working in other country?
So I don't have any experience like working full-time in other countries, but when I was working in Japan, I was dispatched to the United States for a month. For a project. So that was the time that I observed many differences between the US and Japan in terms of work environment, work culture and all. It was also a really nice opportunity for me to compare because it was the same company.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a difference of, like company culture or anything. It was the same company, but just like two different offices. A few things that I noticed is that whenever you find something is not right or you have a different idea, speaking up is a very encouraged action at the US. However, in Japan, it's more like following your leaders or your boss instructions and not really asking too many questions, not questioning much. So that's kind of like the difference. That's like number one. Number two is like it's more about the work style. Work-life balance. Many meetings late at night in the office. Like having a meeting at 11 p.m. was like really normal. Yeah, in the office.
What time do you start your work?
Like normal actually. Like we used to start at 9.
So 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.?
Even later because like you still have work to do, right? So we used to work a lot.
You work like over 12 hours a day?
Sometimes, yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And when you do that in the States or in Europe, it's a completely different thing because like people might think like, oh, you're like working till late. Like, is everything okay? Like, are you okay? Like, it sounds like it's either like you're incapable of doing your job in a shorter time, or you are in trouble with your work, so that you have to work overtime to overcome that. In Japan, it's like if you leave the company like at 6, then people would like, okay, like, are you really working?
Is that the reason why you like work till so late?
So in my case, because we were really busy, not only me, my colleagues, the entire company, but I've heard many stories from my friends who are working for Japanese companies that they they basically have to stay in the office just to seem hardworking and,
Just to prove that we work hard.
yeah, and they, like have the pressure to leave the company before their boss or superior leaves, Yeah, some foreigners do that, some foreigners are totally against and they don't do. So it really depends on the people as well, I think. That is one problem. Another problem is the number of paid holidays. For instance, in Europe, I've heard you can take holidays around like even 40 days a year in entry-level positions. So in Japan, it starts with what, 12?
10.
10? Yeah, you don't even have the luxury to be sick, you know? 10 days. So that's Japan. One thing that I experienced, and it was like hilarious, is that like I worked the entire year without really taking any holidays, and it was finally end of the year, towards end of the year, and I wanted to go back to Turkey to visit my friends, right? And I wanted to take holidays, and you know, you have to kind of like write a paper and submit it to HR. And she looked at me and said like, 1 week? It's a little bit difficult. How about 3 days? What? And I'm like, I'm going to Turkey, like 2 days in the flight. Anyways, it's like,
It's impossible.
oh no, it really doesn't work like this. But on the other hand, when I talk to my European friends, whenever they take holidays to travel somewhere, for instance, at least like 2 weeks. And 2 weeks, taking 2 weeks in Japan is like impossible.
Yeah, almost impossible.
Yeah. And people would feel the pressure when they take a longer holiday because like, oh, I will put burden on my colleagues and like they have to, you know, cover me and, you know, like, oh, I can't take that much. You know, that sort of like mindset is there. I find it like really cute because, you know, people care about each other. They're not like egoistic or whatsoever, but I want Japanese people to be also a little bit relaxed and, you know, like enjoy their lives and paid holidays as well, right? Yeah.
So I've heard that you opened a company. What's it like being as an entrepreneur?
I could talk for like 5 hours straight, but of course it's an amazing experience as a whole. And Japan is a really nice environment to start up a company. However, if we are kind of like, if we have to talk about the problems sometimes, you know, like I found myself going crazy with really like, I don't know, like nonsense stuff that people were trying to impose. One of that was fax culture. Still now, like some companies want us to fax documents to them. Like it's really unbelievable. It blows my mind. Like I remember fax like really in my childhood times in my father's office. So I've never seen one in Japan. And anyways, like once I actually at Oira at my company, we had an advisor and he was looking at my business card and he was like, oh, you don't have a fax number. And I'm like, no, we don't have fax. Who needs fax? We have email. There's internet. And then he was like, oh no, you won't be able to get any contracts. You won't be able to do a business and you won't even be considered like a decent Japanese company if you don't have fax. And I was like, what? No, I reject that. And we had a kind of a little fight on that, and basically we had to say goodbye to him. So like these kind of like fixed or fixated mindsets on how to do things in Japan and not really being flexible and open-minded and integrating new technologies and changing things is really, really slow in Japan.
Yeah, very slow.
Yeah, very slow. So that is like one problem. And also like signing, you know, your own handwriting sign wouldn't be acceptable, so you have to stamp the things, and stamping is fine, but like it just slows the process. What if like I don't have the stamp at the time, so I have to go to the office and this and that, so it really like doesn't make any sense. Well, it's a very unique country and I really love it, but these things sometimes might confuse and frustrate people.
We talked about difficulties working in Japan. On the other hand, is there anything that you feel it's easier to work in Japan or it's better to work in Japan?
Good things. Well, the environment is good. Like Japan is a lot different than other countries, and like what's hot in the US or in Europe or, you know, anywhere else in the world as of today would be hot in Japan like 3 to 5 years later. And there are like things that still we don't have in Japan. So if you have experience, if you have a nice antenna and following what's happening abroad and what's hot in there, you can easily predict what will be happening in Japan in 3 to 5 years time. So you can actually, you know, have really nice ideas, start up companies and start up new businesses. So in that sense, you know, it's easier to, I think, like do business in Japan. And Japanese people pay for good services. People don't run away from paying for what they get. So like it's really nice. It's a very reliable environment. People are very trustworthy.
Oh, yeah.
They keep their promises.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's a really nice environment to not only start a business, to live, to work here. It's really, really nice.
Okay, last question.
Yes.
How much do you rate working in a Japanese style company? If you can give us maximum 10 points, how many points that you can give us?
Oh, wow. It's a very difficult question because, like it really depends on the company. Not all companies are the same.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is that if we take into the environment in Japan, like not only work environment, but like the living experience, like the entire experience that you are having in Japan is also like kind of like facts that. But anyways, I would say perhaps maybe 6 because salaries are really low.
Yeah, that's the main problem.
Yeah, and so especially for foreigners coming to Japan and working in traditional salaries could be an issue. The holiday problem, like paid leave issue. Maternity leave, it's improving in Japan, but I don't think it's the same as in North Europe, for instance.
Have to improve.
Yeah, very much. So like in terms of flexibility of work culture, and like the benefits, I think I would put like -4, but that's why it's 6.
Yeah.
But if we take into Japan as a country and your overall experience in living in Japan and experiencing things in Japan, if we counted it, then I would give probably like 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Japan is an amazing country.
Amazing country.
It's been 16 years.
Yeah.
I have never got bored.
Oh, wow.
Never.
You really like Japan.
I love it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okie dokie. As the interviewee mentioned, in Japan, working many hours means people work hard. And it is a culture that Japanese people would think working many hours is a beautiful thing. Yet, different countries and different ways of thinking. I hope you found something new on this video. And if you have any experiences working in Japan, please share your story with us. And also, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up to support this channel. Alright, that's it for today. I'll see you someday and somewhere. それではまたいつかのどこかで。